As live music fans and musicians, we're all at risk for permanent hearing damage. The standard options for ear protection are foam earplugs, which block everything out so you can't hear anything at all. And then there are custom musician earplugs, which are really expensive. Vibes high-fidelity earplugs, as seen on Shark Tank, are affordable, reusable earplugs designed for live music fans and musicians. Instead of blocking out all sound, Vibes reduce the volume of loud live music to a safer and more comfortable level that prevents permanent hearing damage and ear pain, while still allowing you to hear the music clearly, whether you're a live music fan or a musician. Vibes' clear, low-profile design make them virtually invisible in your ears so you can be discreet about wearing hearing protection in public. Each pair also includes a carrying case and 3 sizes of interchangeable ear tips to ensure a comfortable fit for any sized ear. Vibes are used by hundreds of thousands of live music fans and musicians around the world, and they're trusted by the country's top professional orchestras and college music programs who outfit their musicians with them. Go to vibesearplugs.com/NSR to learn more and to get yourself a pair of Vibes high-fidelity earplugs for less than $30. That's vibesearplugs.com/NSR. vibesearplugs.com/NSR. Vibes high-fidelity earplugs are great for all live music fans and musicians, and they make a great holiday gift. So check them out. Protect your ears with Vibes.
No Simple Road. Yeah, here we go.
I know the road may seem to go on forever and a lifetime.
Where does that come from? Holy cow. Is
India?
it Hindu?
I don't know.
Holy cow.
Let's see.
Hey now, No Simple Road family. Holy cow, it's Aaron.
Yeah, it's first thing. We got to do research already. And this is Apple.
And it's Mel.
Mel's doing the research on Holy Cow, everybody.
Holy
Just in
cow.
case you were actively wondering where Holy Cow came from.
I mean, that would make most
The expression
sense to
holy
me,
cow
Indian.
is a common American slang term used to express surprise or disbelief, and it's believed to have originated as an anglicized version of the Irish Gaelic phrase holy catú, meaning holy sorrow.
Wow.
In the slums after the arrival of Irish immigrants of the 18th and 19th century.
Holy catú, everybody.
But
So
there's
they just made it
more.
holy cow.
There's
Yeah.
like all these
Okay, we get it.
connections. Nobody.
Well,
really
I
knows,
thought
don't think.
the Indian, like a holy cow.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, hold on. Thought to have
there's more.
originated as a minced oath or euphemism, likely in the early 1900s, perhaps influenced by the respect some religious, particularly Hinduism, have for cattle.
All right. Well, speaking of Holy Cow, Holy Cow, our guest this week on No Simple Road is the one and only
Dennis McNally.
Yeah, everybody. If you, I don't know, there's this band that didn't get much publicity back in the day called the Grateful Dead. And
Whom?
Yeah, they're the Grateful Dead.
Oh.
Yeah. You should look them up. They're dope. And he was their publicist for many years. He's also an author of several books, and he's just written a brand new book that comes out on May 13th.
May 13th.
Called The Last Great Dream.
Yeah.
And it is a history of what, Mel? Help us out.
Of how the Bohemians became hippies.
Or how the Beatniks. Well, Bohemians, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Mel's right. I'm wrong, as usual. As per usual.
Nice of you to admit
the
it once
tagline
again.
is actually how Bohemians became hippies and created the 60s.
Yeah. And this is
It's in the title, Aaron.
Yeah, I get it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Apple.
Yeah. You want to tell me I'm wrong again?
Nope. This is definitely a thick book. Not like a lot of pages thick.
It is a lot of pages. It's not a hard book to read.
No.
It's a very insightful historical book about the 60s, and with Dennis's proximity to San Francisco, being in it, living in it, and his age, it like perfectly aligns with all these things, historical things that we now I don't want to say take for granted, but sometimes we don't think about things like this. You know what I mean? Like so factual and all the things that actually it took to get where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he connects all the dots, and I know I definitely learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know about the Bay Area, that whole movement,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Well,
It
yeah,
is a history book.
and he touches on London and Greenwich Village, and it's just I feel like if there's any history nerds out there that are super into psychedelia,
Trippy.
the beatniks, counterculture, this is the book for you.
Yeah, and don't worry. There's Grateful Dead in there stuff. Bear makes an appearance.
There's
in
a lot
there.
of stuff in
LSD makes an appearance in the book, of course.
All the fun things.
Yeah, all the cool stuff. So yeah, mark your calendars. May 13th, the last great dream. Wow, my tongue got stuck on my roof of my mouth. Yeah, and hey,
In addition to writing a great book, Dennis has become a great ally to No Simple Road.
absolutely.
He has sent us innumerable incredible interviews. He has opened up our eyes to stuff. We had no idea about Little Village. We had no idea about a lot of things, and Dennis quickly turned us on to stuff. So for that, I'm super grateful for Dennis, in addition to what he's done for the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he is just a really fun, interesting person to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, he is such a great storyteller. Like I was saying after we did this, it was like I would like to have Dennis just call a couple nights a week, like right before bed, and tell
you stories.
some good stories to go to sleep
So
on.
this one time I was with Jerry backstage. And
Yeah.
Well,
I'd love to hear those stories.
This is another super impressive thing. Him and Susanna have been married for 40 plus years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have had a super long, beautiful marriage. She's a star in her own right with her book
Yeah.
and her photography. And it's just cool to, have this widely, hugely successful human being on our show and just be such a sweetheart about the
And
information.
isn't it dedicated to to the cutest hippie or the coolest hippie I've ever known? In the front, the dedication is to Susanna.
Aww.
And it's sweet. It's like it's the cutest or the coolest.
Oh, to my favorite hippie.
To my favorite hippie.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think the coolest picture of a wedding I've ever seen is Jerry walking Susanna down the aisle. It's fucking annoying. That's baller as hell.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Oh shit! Sorry, everybody. I
Yeah.
smacked my microphone. Let's do the. Well, first off, I need to address the elephant in the room. There he is. Hello, elephant. All right. No, we didn't do a rewind. And
I get sad now because you used to be so strict and now you're the opposite of it. And I'm like, so are we going to record on Tuesday? You're like, no. Wednesday? No. I'm like,
well,
all right,
the ship sailed.
Not
already.
really.
Yeah, it did.
There's no, if we are not late for anything because we made up the date.
That's true.
Like we're not reporting on anything that's timely. We're just talking about ourselves.
You're right. I'm wrong again. No, but
Why do you want me to be wrong so much this morning?
No, I want you to be right.
No, you keep on saying I'm wrong. What's going on?
Nothing.
I've been up for
If he
30
keeps
minutes.
on saying
Like,
it,
come on.
he's going to be
I'm gonna
right
get
once.
one.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, 1 to 20 now, Mel.
No,
Well, I'm glad this is all recorded.
absolutely. No, we didn't do it because we were at Pigeons playing ping pong on Sunday evening, and Sunday was a busy day, and yeah, so it just didn't happen. Well, actually, Saturday night we were at Pigeons playing ping pong. Sunday,
Yeah, if you guys
we
are
were-
believing anything
we were
that Aaron,
recovering
that's coming
from
out of Aaron's mouth right
Pigeons
now,
play ping
you're
pong.
the wool is being pulled over your eyes. That's
there's
all
no
I'm going to
wool.
say.
And we hung out with Connor on Sunday, and it was a day of repose and recovery, and that's the truth. And I'm sticking to
There
it.
you go.
Thank you.
It was the great uprising of the couches, and Aaron had to make them stay.
That's right.
Like,
They would have floated away had we not done what we did. So you're welcome, everybody. Yeah. So let's do the business. You ready?
Ready.
Ready, Mel?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
Well, if you're going to follow us, you want to follow us at No Simple Road on Instagram. And then you're going to go to nosimpleroad.com and you are going to check it out. You're going to check out the photos. You're going to check out past episodes. Probably click on the merch tab and
Yeah,
get yourself
a shirt.
Yeah, get yourself a new little t-shirt for the upcoming concert season. And then you're going to be like, oh, what's this? Oh, patreon.com. What's up on here? You can go on Patreon. You can be like, oh, Dip, I didn't know this. I'm new to the show. This is where you can monetarily help the show get to their festivals, put the lights on in their freaking studio, and be sweet to bands when they come and hook them up there. So you can go on www.patreon.com/No Simple Road and sign up. Sign up for $1, sign up for $20, sign up for any bucks.
You can even sign up for free
Yeah, there
to
you
check
go.
it out. You get a bunch of content that's on there. Connor's putting Connor's picks. We do the Friday episodes. You get them on Thursday without ads. So go check that out.
Yeah. So then after that, you're going to be like, ooh, that was fun. I want to talk about it. And then you can go to 971-808-1524 and you can be like, hey guys, I just signed up on Patreon for $5. Send me that keychain from Lost Sailor. And then we're going to be like, oh, that's dope. Let's do it. And then you're going to be like, oh, 971-808-1524. That was super fun. So then after that, you're going to be like, you know what? After that killer episode with Dennis McNally, I totally want everyone to know about it. So I'm going to hit up the 5-star button on Apple Podcasts and I'm going to be like, boom, that interview was so freaking fun. NSR is cool. 5-star, boom. And we get a new review.
Yeah.
You have
So
any
then-
Apple?
Yeah.
No new reviews.
Yeah, so
we
then-
only have one in the books for the year so far.
That's fine. And then, next time we are on the show and we don't miss, we'll probably be like, oh shit, somebody really listened and they gave us a review and we're going to read it and we're going to be super stoked. But you want to know what that's going to do? It's going to help other people that are looking for super cool podcasts because there's a dime a dozen right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to look for them and they're going to be like, oh shit, that sounds cool. I know who Dennis McNally is. I want to do this. So there it is. You can help us let everyone know how awesome the content is, and then that's the end of it.
That's not the end of it. The most important thing you can do is tell somebody you love about No Simple Road, or somebody you sort of like, or that you put up with. You could tell everybody. We would appreciate
You can tell
it.
somebody you don't like because then it'd make them happy and then they might like you and then you guys can get along.
That's true. That is how we
Have
spread
common ground.
the mycelial network that is the No Simple Road family, everybody. And that's the thing. We will get you to this conversation with the magnificent Dennis McNally here in just a second. But we will be back on Monday this week with a full report of our weekend at Pigeons playing ping pong and afterward and holding down couches and all the stuff that happened in between then and now. You will be back with the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind on Monday. Ready, everybody? Let's do the thing.
Yeah, let's do
I'm ready.
the do.
All right. Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you
Dennis McNally.
How's this?
Yeah.
Aaron, have you grown your beard about a foot since?
Yes.
Just check it.
But also, Dennis, you look like you're in heaven. What's going on?
Back, it's
I like it.
my long story, but I got my wife made me get this big desk, sit behind it in the bay window of our house. So I'm backlit.
Yeah, it looks good.
Rather than say heaven, one friend told me that I looked like I was in the witness protection program.
You are kind of.
More or less.
Oh, good to see you,
Yeah.
Dennis.
It's a
Welcome
pleasure
back.
to see you guys.
Yeah.
How's everything going?
A bit of a rush. I mean, I work with Little Feet. I've been working with this record company called a nonprofit record company called Little Village,
Yeah.
which does these very interesting projects. And then with the book coming out, it's like, my country's in a disastrous free fall. So,
So hey, man,
a lot going
nothing
on.
It's a couple little things.
oh, by the way, but other than that, I'm all right. And I'm getting a new hip
Oh,
really?
How soon?
next month.
Okay.
Well,
We'll be sending you some good vibes for that month for sure.
Thank you. I'll need them.
Okay.
you'll do fine.
Yeah.
You'll do fine. I actually used to in another life assist in those surgeries. I was a surgical
Really?
assistant. Yeah. So you'll be
Oh, I had
fine.
no idea.
You're a healthy, strong guy.
Susanna had a new hip 10 years ago, and you know, she at that point she could barely walk, and you know, everything after the in the hospital the day after surgery, even with the incision, she was in less pain than she had been before. So you know,
Wow,
That's
that's saying
I'm
something.
confident, and I have a special doodah with the surgeon, so it'll be fun.
right
Cool.
on. That's great.
I mean, with working with Little Feet, you're doing the Little Village thing, and you wrote this book, and I think like the three of us all said kind of the same thing about the book, Dennis, is that this is dense. This is not like
Well,
light reading,
No.
quick
It's a
read.
history book.
This is a history book.
Yeah.
You really went to town.
Well, you know, it was really interesting. I've ended up making a quote career. I don't think of it as a career. Out of tracing the history of the counterculture in America since World War II. And so I did Kerouac, and then I did the Grateful Dead, and then I went back and on Highway 61 did this sort of the deeper background
Right.
of the relationship of where bohemians in America have come from, which is generally young white people listening to paying attention to Black culture, whether it's music or whatever. And I'd done the three, and I, you know, was not consciously even looking for another topic. I sort of took a pause, and I got invited to curate the photo show that California Historical Society wanted to do for the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love.
Okay.
So this is back in 2016, a year before, and which was pretty funny because you know all my books, pretty much all the I had nothing to do with the photos in any of my books. My editor did the first one, and my wife, a very fine photographer, did the last two. So anyway, every picture tells a story. Write that
Yes.
down. It's a good. It's a
All
good.
right, I'm doing it right now. All right.
And you know, and it's true. And so it became a treasure hunt of looking for pictures. It was great fun. And about a month into it, because I discovered these two in particular people you've never heard of, a guy named Harry Radel and a guy named Jerry Burchard, who were the photographers in North Beach in the mid 50s in San Francisco. And you know, then I started with the beat. I mean, I started with the beats and went up to the Summer of Love. Much more historically oriented than, of course, say the DeYoung, which was mostly rock posters and clothing, hippie clothing. So anyway, and then it's you know, because there was no great political fallout from the hippie movement, people tend to dismiss it. But I would argue quite seriously that it's, in fact, its impact culturally is enormous, still important, and you know, now in some ways more than ever with a explicitly anti-hippie, anti-60s, anti-kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Political scene going on.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is, you know, as I say, if you do yoga, if you eat organic food, if you have any kind of sympathy towards gay rights and or now, in particular, trans rights, you were affected by the 60s. I mean, all the whole idea of the gentle male hippie, which was, you know, kind of something new on the planet, the idea that it was possible for men not to go around smacking each other around,
Right.
Led, I think it fed feminism, and then it fed gay rights, which coincidentally, you know, also had I was going to say, what's the word when you take a military control of something? Anyway, a beachhead.
Oh, okay.
A beachhead. So hippies and people like me after the hippies came to San Francisco because it was a place to be seemed to be free. It always was. You have to remember that cities arise out of economic reasons, and thus are created by using this in the highest sense, bourgeois people. That is, people interested in money and making money and building a business, and nothing bad about that.
No.
But the fact is, San Francisco was not created by those kinds of people. San Francisco was created by a bunch of whacked out losers who fled the East Coast and China and Chile and gambled their lives on, striking it rich. And of course, most of them didn't, but that's the way it goes. But there was a fundamentally different ethos to the city. The classic example being the Emperor Norton, who was a plunger on the stock market in San Francisco, which was craziness, and went bankrupt, lost his mind, declared himself Emperor Norton, and went around San Francisco, and he would go into a bar and get a beer or whatever and hand the bartender or the restaurant or Emperor Norton banknote.
And people would accept them.
And that's the difference. I mean, you have crazy people
Right.
In every city. That's inevitable. But in San Francisco, they accepted them. It was like homage to the city, and that's that's why the sex trade in San Francisco was always loose. It was legalized prostitution in the so-called Barbary Coast, both gay and straight. So it's a different kind of place, and so I decided to write a book about where this hippie thing came from and why it came from San Francisco, and that's what The Last Great Dream is about.
I thought it was fascinating that you cataloged the transition out of San Francisco and how that ethos moved through the country and across the world in the book. You touch on how that ethos informed what was going on in Greenwich Village, also what happened in London, and how it kind of like that seed germinated and then bloomed across the world. That was really fascinating to me. I never thought about it like that. Some say the music never stops. I've heard tell the music never stops. And do you know who else doesn't stop?
The T-shirt.
Over at shoptourbus.com.
That's right.
Yeah. You want to go?
Tour Bus doesn't stop.
That's right. Go check out the new Music Never Stop design over from our friends at Shop Tour Bus.
It's cool. Pre-orders start this weekend, and they'll have it in as they say, a small rainbow of colors.
A rainbow full of colors.
Awesome.
And sound.
Yes.
Yeah. ShopTourBus.com is the online lot's dopest purveyor of Grateful Dead inspired merch. Go check out the shirts, hats, hoodies, bags,
stickers,
coffee cups.
Yeah. The merch.
If you've never been over there, go take a look at shoptourbus.com or at shoptourbus on Instagram. You're going to see what we're talking about. They are the coolest shit ever. And come to you in a hand-designed, one-of-a-kind box with a bunch of extras, and you may even get a Grateful Dead bootleg on the inside of your order. Yes, a real-life cassette tape. Thanks.
And you also will get free shipping if you put in the promo code No Simple Road, all one word, and that fancy box with your super soft T-shirt will come to you for free shipping.
That's right.
And if you're really, really good, you might even get a packet of Kool-Aid, because I saw that in one of the boxes recently.
True. So
you never know what you're going to get. It's like a fun surprise box.
That's right. Who doesn't like surprise boxes? I love surprise boxes. Mel loves surprise boxes.
I sure do.
You do too. Go to shoptourbus.com.
Well, as I say, for various reasons, I would argue that the initial energy for all this was San Francisco, for a lot of reasons. And it started even before the Beats. It started with what was called the San Francisco Poetry Renaissance of the 40s, which is Kenneth Rexroth and Robert Duncan and Josephine Meyer, a lot of interesting people, Helen Adam, and then connected with the San Francisco Art Institute, which was then called California School of Fine Arts. But anyway, that had young people. And like, for instance, one of my favorite people and one of my favorite experiences in doing the book was I interviewed a man named Mel Weitzman. So Mel Weitzman started out, he was actually in the Marine Corps, but came to the Art Institute in the late 40s as as a painter, worked with Clifford Still. Eventually picked up the trumpet, long story, and was playing, in North Beach. He was your basic, beatnik that you never heard of. And then what ended up happening for him was that he got into, he always had a spiritual thing going on, and he found Zen Buddhism. And in the end, it became the abbot of the Zen, one of the important people in the history of Zen in America, what they call Western Buddhism. I interviewed him not terribly long. He was quite ill, and it was not very long before he checked out. And found out, he had been married to this woman, this poet woman, Ruth Weiss, who's legendarily eccentric. And there's Mel, who's, he's a Zen abbot. I mean, he that might be eccentric in a certain kind of way.
Right.
But other than that, he's very formal. And he casually mentions that he had been married to Ruth Weiss, who I knew pretty well and knew about. And I was like, my jaw bounced off the floor. And it just connected a whole. It was what you look for, what you pray for when you go do an interview, when you're researching a book, is suddenly this whole set of connections makes total sense. And that was Mel.
Wow.
One of the major moments in this book is, of course, the reading of Howl
Right.
for the first time at the Sixth Gallery. Well, the Sixth Gallery, before it was the Sixth Gallery, was the Sixth Gallery was six. It had been something called the Ubu Gallery, which was created by those the poet Robert Duncan, as a matter of fact, and friends that I was talking about as one of the sort of the very first generation. And he, after a couple of years, it was like he didn't need to be bothered with it anymore and let go. And these 6 students at the Institute said, "Oh, we want to, and the rent was $60 a month, so they each kicked in $10, and it's a little different then."
Yeah, different than now.
And eventually, Allen Rees. Well, one of those 6 people, just to give you an example of how this all fits, one of those 6 people is a guy named Wally Hedrick. Wally Hedrick was a student and then a teacher at the Institute. Wally Hedrick taught what they called weekend art. I forget the actual title. One of his students was a young man, a kid from the Mission named Jerry Garcia.
I've heard of him.
Wally played blues, in particular Big Bill Brunzi, while his students were painting, which intrigued this young man to want to go get a guitar. So that summer, when his mother gave him an accordion, he went, no, this will not fly, and eventually got a cheap guitar, and to some extent, the rest is history.
True.
He and his buddies said, "What's this beat thing?" Because this is 1958 now. Jerry's 16, and On the Road is a bestseller. It's a current bestseller. And Wally, God bless him, said, "You guys are beat. Go down to City Lights and get this book." And Jerry did. I never remembered to ask him, did he buy it or did he lift it?
Yeah.
I mean, he was he didn't have a lot of money. But anyway, he did get it for sure. And it became his Bible. It's the reason I became the Dead's biographer, is because I sent him a copy of my Kerouac book, and he liked it.
Right.
And, you know, I think I did a good job, but it was important to him because of how important Kerouac was to him, not me. So anyway, these things connect. When I was working on it, my agent, bless her, said, if you do this only about San Francisco, only people will only be interested in San Francisco. You need to expand.
Right.
And eventually, you know, you don't remember these details, but as I was going through it, I eventually decided that the place to end it would be Monterey Pop Festival. That this was. There's a line in the book that goes something like, everyone's image of the Summer of Love was beautiful young people with flowers in their hair, ecstatically high, listening to great music. And for 4 days, at least at Monterey Pop, that was reality. That really was reality. And what happened at Monterey was that musicians from London, Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco, which were the sort of psychedelic, and it was always going to be a celebration of psychedelic music, whether you talked about it or not. Bring bells, bring flowers, etc. There was an orchid on every seat on Friday when the festival began.
Oh, wow.
They flew in 10,000 orchids from Hawaii and put them on each seat. Flower power, you know. I mean, this was what the festival was about. And so I studied all those places and their different sort of contributions. Yes, that's the book. It covers a lot of ground. Every chapter could be its own book.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't have a lifetime to do that, and besides that, or bonus lifetimes to do that. But beside that, what I wanted was kind of counterculture 101, a message in a bottle for the next generation. If you wonder, to this day, about once a year, I go out to this private school out in the west of San Francisco. Yes, west. Okay. Pardon me. East of San Francisco. West of San Francisco is a lot of water. East of San Francisco in Contra Costa, there's this school, and they teach a class in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
And I go in there and I'm looking at these kids, and they were all born, well after the year 2000.
That's crazy.
And I'm saying, you're taking a class in events that took place 50, 60 years before you were born. Now, believe me, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, what happened 50, 60 years before I was born, turn of the century.
Yeah.
Nothing's, not all that interesting. You're interested, again, because this stuff hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
The 60s are still part of our daily lives. And bluntly, it's exactly what Trump is fighting, is fighting a generation that came out for peace, for low consumption, not too much gold, kindliness to each other. That's exactly what's not happening in Washington at the moment.
Spring is springing.
It is.
It is doing the spring thing. And there's no better time to order yourself some custom tie-dye clothing.
Ooh, looking all fresh
Yeah,
for the spring.
Our sponsor, the Grateful Mountain.
Then you're going to be going to all these festivals and shows coming up. We're all going to be outdoors soon, running around, amphitheaters and shit. And you're going to be able to look fly with these dyes.
Tight, fresh new gear. You can get like bib overalls or shorts. You can get shirts, dresses, whatever you can. Comes in white or otherwise. You can have him do.
And Travis has even said he would do kerchiefs and bobby shorts and other special
and reverse
requests.
tie-dye stuff. Go follow at The Grateful Mountain on Instagram and go check out his new Shopify website at thegratefulmountain.myshopify.com. That's thegratefulmountain.myshopify.com. He's given the No Simple Road crew
20% off
with
the promo code
NSR20.
NSR20.
And you're getting free shipping. Go check out what Travis is doing, man. It is some dope gear. And like I said, doing custom orders. So slide into those DMs over at the Grateful Mountain.
Free shipping is for international.
No.
Right?
Nope.
No? All over the world?
No. You just said it's for international.
Oh,
I said
it's
no.
Okay, sorry.
It's yeah.
Guys, I'm out of my rocker right now.
Yeah, the continental United States.
I'm out of it. Sorry. That's
cool.
all I'm going to say
Here
about
we go.
it.
Go over there and get fresh.
Yeah. And I it's hard to even fully wrap your head around the impact that short span of years have had, and it's still, that bell is still ringing. It's hard to even wrap your head around that. Like, I think that a lot of these people that you're talking about, these kids that are taking these classes now, when they hear like the beat movement, in air quotes, I don't think that a lot of people even now fully understand what a beatnik was. They know, like, intellectually that was the predecessor to the freaks and the hippies, but I think that this book kind of lays out in a clear kind of a way what that was.
Well, yeah. I mean, there were definitely, as I say, Wally Hedrick was a beat, and he literally taught. Actually, Jerry never really thought of himself as a hippie. He thought of himself as a young beat, the last generation of the beats, and what beat was about was simply reclaiming kind of the spiritual side of America. I mean, I asked Michael McClure, who was one of the beat poets, I was sort of kind of deliberately naive, and I said something about, why did people freak out about Howl and On the Road? And he looked at me and said, "You didn't live in the 50s, did you?" So, well, I was alive, but kind of small. Yeah. And he said, and this is where you have to go into the history. And I have almost a whole chapter about why, but before you even get to the beats, why they had such an impact, because the country, thanks to a cold, you start with the Depression and then a World War II, which is a successful enterprise, largely because it creates enormous systems that work. You don't win war with guns, you win war with logistics. And the United States became the logistic capital of the world. And then there's the Cold War. And then there's McCarthyism, because people are somebody always around to exploit fear.
Right.
And that's what McCarthyism was about. And so there was this stratification, and it was rigid. Things were very rigid and hollow. And then you get these two voices, neither, one of them gay and both, one of them, actually, as soon as he became famous, a drunk, and the two of them sort of pop up and say, America, the emperor's naked. This is not this. It's nice to have a washing machine, but don't you want your children to grow up with knowing that spiritual pursuits are more important than making lots of bucks?
Yep.
All of which, if I can just throw in one more item, which goes back, I would argue, to when America first became the home to corporations and defined itself for probably the rest of time, which was in the 1820s and 30s. Oddly enough, in Lowell, Massachusetts, where Kerouac was from, where they built it was the first industrial city. They thought of it as a utopia, where they were going to build these factories and all these farm kids from New Hampshire could come down and get good jobs and blah, blah, blah. And it was hoped to be, positive. Well, Thoreau, who happened to go past all those factories on his canoe trip, had when I studied Thoreau, I suddenly realized that basically, and this is kind of oversimplifying, but I don't know, in 2025, it's a little hard to argue with. And that is, there are two kinds of freedom in America. We've always thought of America as the land of the, home of the brave, the land of the free. And you wave that flag, except there's a Thoreau kind of freedom, which is a critical inquiry into everything, challenging our relationship to nature, challenging our relationship to work, challenging, the Protestant work ethic, thinking that it's more important to understand than, again, to prosper. Mm-hmm. And then the other kind of freedom, which is Donald Trump's freedom, which is the freedom to make as much money as humanly possible, which has been the winner in that race a lot, certainly lately, but in general, what's important is to remember is there's always been that alternative. An alternative, that's what this book is about, is the alternative to the conventional American, that America is morally superior, this is a country that started with slavery. Can we talk?
Yeah.
Etc. And that's what happened in the 60s is a whole bunch of people who had come out of the arts mostly, and arts and civil rights were, and then encountered LSD, and you have something new, and it's still there. Yes. And obviously, Deadheads are the most visual
representation.
Manifestation of all this still. But it's not just them, of course.
Dennis, I wonder, when you write a book like this, are you in this book, is your opinions and your beliefs and your way that you lived in this book, or are you just being a historian and looking at everything? Can you separate that?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't. I mean, there is no such thing as objectivity, and I mean, the choices I make about subjects and how to approach them are obviously,
sure.
Deeply influenced by my life experience. I've often said that, so I was I graduated high school in 1967 in the backwoods of Maine. And then I went to college in extreme, almost to Ottawa, upstate New York. And I've said that I was watching or reading about all the classic 60s stuff in the newspaper. But I wasn't participating. I actually have an actual memory of seeing the picture of Jerry at the Be-In with the top hat in the library in Dexter, Maine, and thinking that looks interesting, not having a clue that it was going to change my life.
Yeah.
So I think because I missed everything, I've been studying it ever since. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah.
Apple.
I'm curious, when did you migrate to the Bay Area?
I started the Kerouac book. I graduated college in 1971, went to UMass Amherst in graduate school, and halfway through the first year there, I was literally, I have one close friend. I lived because I'd been in Europe that summer to try and pass a French exam, which I managed to do, and then forgot everything I was supposed to know.
Good job.
Embarrassing. I just languages don't stick. But anyway, I had one good buddy who was the only other person, as far as I knew, who smoked dope in this dorm, and we generally would get together. We were both serious graduate students, which meant we both worked about 12 hours a day. I mean, we were a little nuts. And around about 1 or 2 in the morning, we'd smoke a bone and chat for a bit, and then go to bed. And And so one night I was what the heck is that? I have adored cats, but I also live in cat hair. Love them, but God. And it's the short hair, not the long hair. I figure. So one night I'm sitting there. I wanted to sort of take control of the graduate process, which basically meant, you go to graduate school and you study and you study and you study like crazy for 4 or 5 years, and then you go in to see your senior professor, and he tells you what your dissertation is going to be, which conveniently is a chapter in his next book. That was sort of the paradigm for a long time.
Really?
With the bonus, however, that the obligation of the professor was to get you a job, a real job. I decided to pick my own topic in advance and sort of, control things a little bit better. And so I one night with my buddy Chris, I said, maybe I'll do something on the beats. That would be interesting, which is really unlikely because it was, this is 71. We're talking about events 15 years before, and graduate schools don't go for that. I ended up greatly lucky, and that's neither here nor there. And he said, do Kerouac. His papers are at Columbia. And my friend, you can stay with my friends in the Bronx.
Oh, shit.
I might add that those friends are still some of my closest friends. And that was 50 years ago.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And all that worked out. And then I wrote the book. And then because I had sense, Chris was also a Deadhead and turned me onto the Dead. So then he mentions Kerouac in Signpost to New Space. So I thought, well, maybe he'll like this book. So I sent him a copy of the book. And then in 1980, long story short, he said, why don't you do us? Why don't you write a book about us? And I went, well, gee, maybe I could fit that into my schedule.
Yeah, right. I'm on my way.
I went. Well, I was actually at the Warfield Theater with Alan Trist and Rock Scully, who were on his staff, and I then went home and got drunk. But it was, that was like a key moment, obviously, in my life.
Oh yeah.
So then I started that, and eventually Rock went away for his health, and I became the publicist. And had to put things on hold for a while. And then Jerry died, and we published the book in 2002.
Crazy.
It's
the
wild. Point is, it all connects. And that's, so to answer, am I just a historian? Well, I'm an honest historian. I mean, I got the training and I believe the training, and that means, among other things, that you corroborate and you confirm. But you always have to, at some point, there's a question, that you ultimately can't be absolutely certain of. And then there's something called Occam's razor. Right. And for those of you who don't know, listening to the podcast, my podcasters all going, nodding. But OCCAM, Occam's razor, is a rule of logic which simply says the simplest answer is probably the most likely. Yep. And anything that requires an enormously elaborate explanation of something,
maybe not.
You should be suspicious of. But the point is, as I say, there is no objectivity, and you just have to be fair, you have to be clean. You can't, and you can't be too mean. I'm pretty mean to Timothy Leary because I think he did a lot of damage to psychedelics. With his sort of slapdash approach to things.
Guess who's back?
In the mother.
Back in town.
Melt is back, everybody.
Yay, Melt.
Melt Premium Mushroom Chocolates, your one-stop shop for the finest mushroom chocolates on the planet.
And not just chocolates, gummies too.
Yeah, and they even have a new addition to the family of gummies. They have they have the elderberry, the tangerine, and the popular pineapple. They have added lemon now.
Right.
Ooh.
And for those of you that aren't in the know about Melt Premium Mushroom Chocolates, there is 4 grams of their sacred mushroom blend in every bar. And a bunch of adaptogens and the most premium delicious chocolate, 10 flavors to choose from. Go follow at Melt Mushrooms on Instagram. Shoot them a DM and let them know that No Simple Road sent you.
And they are going to give you 20% off of your order.
That's huge.
That's huge.
And then I'm excited about this too. I just hit, if you go on Instagram and you hit their Linktree thing, they have Melt Radio. You can listen to on SoundCloud, Mixcloud, or Spotify.
Cool.
And I'm sure that they have some dope mixes.
So you want to get your head right? Go follow at Melt Mushrooms on Instagram. Shoot them a DM. Get your 20% off by telling them you're part of the No Simple Road family, and you're welcome.
Thanks for that answer, because
Yeah.
as I was reading it, it's you're putting so much of your historical account, but then, like you said, your personal history, what you were able to see, and you were specifically in certain areas, during pretty transitional times in life. So I was just kind of wondering about all of that, and how as a writer you put all of those things together on top of interviews, on top of personal experience, on top of things that you've seen just by living in San Francisco. So
Yeah.
It's kind of the reason it takes me 10 years to write a book.
I can understand that. That really does make sense now.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I've done 4. I'm done. This is the last book. And
Really?
oh yeah, I
Not
can't.
even a cute little children's book of some
Oh,
sort.
well, if in the unlikely event that pops up as an inspiration, I'd go for it. But
Okay.
I'm not young, and I don't have 10 years of energy.
I get that. Yeah.
To start over, and I don't know of any other topic that really engages me the way these 4 have. So
Yeah.
it's been a kick. I'll tell you that much.
The only thing I thought is, I thought it before with your book. It's like, did you ever think of writing an autobiography? But that's kind of intertwined within your books, especially this one. It seems like.
Well, and the only part of my life that people would really, particularly care about is my life with the dead. And part of the deal with being a publicist is you keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I had to put the book away while I was the publicist. Because just the headspace of being a publicist, I am pretty sure that I never lied as a publicist, but obviously there were things I didn't say.
Yeah.
Omission.
Yeah.
And there's lots of omission. Oh, I'll concede that. And the fact is that that's appropriate to the role. It's not appropriate to the role of being a historian.
No.
And I went soft on one subject, and you would have had to read between the lines as to its significance. One in all of that, which,
Are you willing to say which subject?
the reasons behind Mickey Hart's departure from the Grateful Dead.
Okay, all right.
In 71.
But
as
Dennis,
I said,
I was just gonna ask, how long have you and Susanna been married?
40 in September.
So you said that there's, a part of your life that people will be interested in. That's with the dead. But I think that right there is a huge, especially nowadays, a huge, like nobody does that anymore. That marriage is a huge, people either love it or like, oh, well, that's old, that's traditional kind of a thing. And I think that would be an incredible novel or easy reading.
Autobiography,
Yeah, I really do, because you and Susanna have had.
Well, see, it's complicated because I didn't marry a one woman. I married 2 because she came with a 12-year-old daughter who was quite a good part of the reason why I wanted to get married, because I wanted to be a dad. And she was, and I cheated, but I also concede I cheated. No diapers, No, you know,
Waking up in the middle of the night, right?
She was already, incredibly smart, adorable, just fun to be around. She slammed a few doors, she admits.
Yeah, teenagers are tough.
As an adolescent, but in general, is an exceptional person. She's now, and I mean, the proof of that is simply that for the last 2 years she had to nurse her husband, who passed at Christmas time.
Oh man!
And the way she dealt, if you ever, if you are dealing with a close friend or partner or whatever, and their oncoming death, which we all get,
Yeah.
I urge you to go to Caringbridge and Google the Korchin family. That's Korchin. And Season, basically kept a blog of the process, and it's incredibly insightful. It's good writing, and I take no credit. I mean, at any rate, I wanted to make a book out of it, and when she's fully grieved, finished her grieving, which is by no means yet. We only had his memorial a month ago today, God, that was a fast month. But she's an exception. Season, Season, Season Korchin. She's an exceptional human being. And that's been, along with being married to Susanna, has been one of the joys of my life.
Yeah, I think.
I feel like, wait a minute, then we'll go over it. I just think that as a author, you hear about a lot of the thoughts and the facts and all this stuff, but then when you hear about someone's life, it's different of how you choose your words and how you choose the stories. And like you have a love and a respect and honor for the people that you're writing about, because they're your personal people, and so with your writing and that sentiment, I think it would be beautiful.
Well, also, I think that this topic is the same thing, because it's something that has
close to his heart,
informed his life.
Yes.
Yeah, the Dead was just another family, and that I entered. The main question, and people asked me this when I first got the role, was what happens if you find out they're all assholes?
Okay,
do your job.
Yeah, that's true.
What happens when you go behind the curtain and you see more than everybody out in front sees? And I said, well, that will remain. We'll see. There were occasional episodes of bad behavior, mostly engendered because when you have from the time of the age of 19 or 20 are surrounded by people who think you're God, and I'm not talking about just Jerry, but all of them, and you have advantages in the pursuit of in their case, opposite sex. And there are people who want to bribe you with drugs to get, in the inner circle. They did an amazing job of maintaining civility, mostly civil, honorable, ethical behavior.
Yeah.
Mostly, if you want to know that, as far as I'm concerned, because they had a leader who wouldn't lead. They had a leader that everybody knew was their leader, but he wouldn't make decisions, and things just sort of, he set a tone and things happened.
That's so cool.
And when he left, they couldn't work together anymore. I mean, that's there's too much dissension and stuff, and it would work occasionally, but not well, certainly not as well. I experienced that. I might add, I've experienced that twice, and that is after I stopped working for the Dead. when in 2008 I had been working with Weir, the Grateful Dead production company folded, and Rhino took over, the business
Right.
in four, and then in '08 they folded the merchandising, and Weir folded Rat Dog and went to work with Phil, and Phil got rid of Bobby's management at that time, and I was sort of the junior management, working with Cameron. Anyway, I got involved with the San Francisco Zen Center,
Right.
and have taken public vows of Buddhism and all this good stuff. And I'm still very involved with it. But again, I got on the board at the Zen Center and learned that, this is formally a religious group, so you're expecting perfect behavior. Alas, they were human too.
What? I'm shocked, Dennis. This is a breakout conversation.
And that's not to say anything gruesome. The Zen Center was shattered by a boss who was the one boss, the heir to the founder, Suzuki Roshi, and the one boss chased women, not against their will, but the fact is that you'd like your abbot not to be fooling around, and as a result, the Zen Center adopted a bunch of very bureaucratic practices so that nobody could violate the rules quite so badly ever again, which was fine, and it's worked very well that way. Those sorts of scandals haven't happened. But there remain, as a board member, I got to see just, politicking and competition for privileges and all that. It's just feet of clay, the normal human thing. And this is the same with Grateful Dead in terms of, most, they were dedicated. Jerry was dedicated to music.
Yep.
And all of them were and are. But they were still human.
Yeah, man.
And it worked out, and their commitment, as we all know, you went to 5 shows and 2 were okay, and 1 was catastrophically bad, and 1 was phenomenally great, and 1 was really good.
Yep.
Or something like that, depending on your grading system. I might add that after every show, half the audience is coming out saying, "That was the greatest show I ever saw."
Yep.
God, we should just shoot them and put them away out of their misery.
Who knows? Yeah.
What wing of the Deadhead world you're in,
and what chemicals they were on that night. Yeah.
And all
that goes into the mix too. We've experienced seeing behind the curtain too, and I don't even know what the word is. Shocking, I guess, a little bit. Like, we experienced it at Country Fair. We experienced it in the world that we're in, and I understand what you're saying. Like, it's people are human, and your expectations are the thing that you have to manage when you go into that. That's what you can control,
and you let them. And we've experienced it too. And a lot of people are with what's happening now with Dead and Company.
Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Do I want to go down this road?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do it. For me, Dennis, and I would imagine, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe you feel the same way. The over commodification of the Grateful Dead thing is fucking disgusting to me, man. And it hurts. It makes me sad. And I know how, like, deeply personal the Grateful Dead experience is for each and every Deadhead out there. And
Yeah.
I know how impactful and spiritual and real that thing is. And to see it on a fucking salad container in the grocery store hurts. And I'm all for access to the music and opening the door for new people to find the thing. Like, that is amazing. It makes me happy, and let's do that. But to turn it into a sideshow attraction that you can buy for $19.99 or $27 a month makes me want to scream. Yeah.
We digress. Okay, so now we're back now.
In looking at what you put together in the book, I started thinking, like, the universe is balance, right? It has to keep itself in sync. And so as a response to the sterile mindset of the 50s, McCarthyism, the scare of nuclear annihilation, we had synthesis of LSD. Now, this is opinion. And the outpouring of the attitude of the 60s, and that as in my mind, at least in the West, a balancing force to the mindset of that darkness. And we are in a completely new space now. There is, as you've pointed out, we are in a time of darkness. There's a lot of dark shit happening right now, and heavy dark stuff. Do you think, Dennis, that it's possible for something akin to what happened in the 60s to happen again with counterculture?
I think it's possible. My major hope, all kidding aside, is that the current administration is so obsessed with its own power, and they're not as smart as they think they are, mostly because they're dazzled by ego. I mean, ego always gets in your way. That it is my hope that, if they destroy Social Security, I can't see how they could ever win another election, for instance. And it is my sincere hope that they're dumb enough to just not read the signs and explode everything. And that would end up resulting in an opposition arising that recognizes some basics. What we're seeing now is the culmination of Reagan's attempt to shrink the government and end the social safety net that the New Deal brought in, and that most people, when I was growing up, accepted as the basics.
Mm-hmm.
That, that's what government, government is there to take care of the poor and the elderly, insofar as people need that help, and defend the country. And, working for Putin and ending Social Securities, I don't think going to produce a very popular situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it is my hope that in reclaiming the values of inclusivity, peace, some decent kindliness to our neighbors, that yes, much of what we thought of as the counterculture, whether it's as overtly hippie, which still exists, as you well know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Oregon, man. I know all about it.
Hey, look at Apple. Come on, tell me that.
Well, could it be a catalyst? Everything that you're mentioning, like, I feel as if things don't get changed very easily, you
No,
know?
we give birth very messy.
Well, exactly. When you're in labor to bring a new life into this world, it is not sweet and birds chirping and this, that, and the other. There's slashing of body parts, and there's, you know, drugs given, and there's like screaming, you know, and then something beautiful, but you still have to take care of it. And so in this political climate that's so harsh and scary and you know, aggressive, that something beautiful can be born out of it. And I'm just an optimist. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that it's possible to happen.
Oh, it's certainly possible,
Right?
and you know, and I pray. That's all I can do.
Yeah, and I think that
Although
right there.
Speaking of birth, I will say that sometimes my family story is I of course waited out in the corridor for season to give birth, both times for that matter, but in particular the first time, and it went quite quickly. And her classic quote was, you know, she delivers and I get to, you know, they cut the cord and they're weighing the baby and I get to see him for the first time, and I'm standing there and she sort of sits up and says, "That wasn't so bad."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So sometimes birth is,
Yes.
and I might add, he's a wonderful kid. He's now 20 and at Davis and
Aww.
a jewel of a person.
Proud
So,
grandpa.
all labors do not need to be as messy and scary or painful. But in this case, we're coming to, we have one.
Oh, yeah.
We're like 24 hours in this labor, and there's some reason we can't get the drug, so we got to just go for it.
You know what though? Was the other thing that was really prominent, at least to me, about the book and reading it was like, and I knew this because of my experience, but like the impact that LSD had on consciousness as a whole, what it did was so profound that, like we said earlier, it's still echoing right now, and you know, people's minds are being changed today, even, you know.
Absolutely. And as I said, I was fairly mean to Leary because I think his actions, among other things, guaranteed what happened.
Vilification of the thing.
And you know, just say no and all that good stuff.
Right.
I mean, the record of supervised use of LSD or MDMA or whatever is overwhelmingly safe. And yes, there are some people who shouldn't be messing with they're just not.
Yeah, you're not built for it
to risk that.
Yeah.
But
I think we need a new drug. We need a new psychedelic.
Well,
They seem to be working on that all the time.
Huey
sure
Lewis was singing about that back in the day.
I'll be right back.
Yep. I really feel like that. I feel like we need another like catalyst.
A breakthrough that somebody.
Yeah.
That's what I think the Ketaverse is about.
But that's
Really?
not new, and that's
It's not
not
new.
new.
It's not new, but it's new to this age as the popularity is coming. Like, nobody was doing it recreationally like this in masses at festivals.
Yes,
and,
they were. It's been going on since the 80s. People were doing ketamine at raves.
All right.
But that was a subculture. That wasn't huge. Raves didn't start out as like arenas and shit.
No,
that was
no.
a small. Yeah.
All right,
Dennis
we're
is
back.
back.
All right.
Yeah.
All I know about ketamine is I am told, and I don't know, but that it's a favorite of Elon and his little gang, and so therefore, it's one of the, frankly, very few drugs I've never done.
I'll tell you, it's if
Used correctly.
if LSD is analog, ketamine is digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis, if you're up for it, we would love to. Well, no,
Just kidding.
no, we would love to send you an episode with this man named Charles Patty. He has a clinic in Florida, and he is healing people with PTSD, veterans, and people that have not just war, but like traumatic, severe depression, and the way that he just is a different way of talking about it. It's not like drugs, like subculture. It's like he's on the precipice of helping humanity. So I want to just send you that just so you can hear from another perspective on just friggin' Elon and
just
his
real,
BS.
real short. With LSD, like my experience, like a lot of people, like at a Grateful Dead show or at home tripping with a group of friends, hanging out on a Saturday night or whatever, you have this like kind of gossamer, ephemeral, universal mind that you can all participate in, right? That's there. What ketamine did was like took that and made it concrete for a very defined amount of time where you were not able to choose whether you were going to participate in that mind thing. You were just locked into it for like 30 minutes. And then you come back and you're like, holy shit. That's kind of that's why I say the difference between analog and digital. It's just like, it's on and then off. It's crazy.
And I don't know, this may have been ketamine. I have no idea. The weirdest single drug experience I ever had was, we were told it was organic THC.
Okay.
We snorted it. And I later was told that maybe it was some kind of animal tranquilizer, whatever it was. It was this completely overwhelming, not too long experience. Maybe it was ketamine. The way I described it, it was as though your mentality was like a four channel TV set, and you kept going from around, spinning the dial.
Yep.
And one was a letter I'd gotten that day, and one was a conversation I was having earlier that day, and one was what was going on in the room at that instant. And they were like, as I say, 3 or 4, but you couldn't control it. It was just you were going around and around. And as long as you didn't try and like get up, because, literally your mind was so distracted by the experience that there was no way that you were going to, walking.
That sounds like it.
Yeah,
That
right.
sounds like it.
Just
you're
like
dissociated completely. And
but I did not. Well, it wasn't what I expected in any case, and I didn't find it all that appealing. But then that was 50 years ago. So who knows?
It's I feel like there needs to be something, and maybe it's not a drug. I don't know. But something that breaks us through. And I think that books like you've written are really important, especially now, because our history is being erased a lot of times. We're in a brave new world. And it's important for people that are here now to understand how we got here. And so this is a roadmap as to where we're at right now. And my dad always used to say, if you don't know history, then you're subject to it repeating itself. And if you know it, then you can maybe do something about it. So I think this is important.
Yeah, it is important. It's that classic. Take bumper sticker with just say KNOW.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's real. That's
So
anyway.
when does it come out, Dennis?
May 13th.
All right. So the
All better bookstores.
The Last Great Dream comes out.
And can they get it online?
What?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Go to my website. You can pre-order it now at DennisMcNally.com.
Okay.
And it'll be on all the Amazons and the whatnots.
All right. I'll have a link in the show notes.
Dennis, is there something in particular?
Apple
Sorry.
I was just going to say, like you said at the top of this, like, you had gone to this class where you saw the, people born, in the 2000s, which is a trip to realize that people born in the 2000s are, I work in the cannabis industry and you have to be 21. How many people were, born? I always think that there's hope for the future in the people like that, and the ones that we know the Dead and Company has opened up that world too.
Sure.
And there are the ones that get it above all of the bullshit that's going on behind the scenes and everything. They have the attitude. We have a lot of 20-something-year-old artists that, because of what Dead and Company has provided, they were able to go on the road until they settled in Vegas.
You mean like Tune? And,
yeah, but they're still there, and it's letting them. They can advance. They're selling their artwork. They're thriving in it. They get the Be Kind and stuff like that through all of it. So I mean, I believe your book also is another many chapters in that for these younger people to understand where it came from.
Right,
and it's very important.
May it be so.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mel?
I forgot what I was going to say. It's all right, though. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
I will.
I'm just grateful, Dennis, to you for this piece of history, honestly, and for your being able to be our friend and be candid with us about things, because, in this scene, it's a very unique scene, the shows, music, entertainment. It's a very unique scene. It's not like medicine or tech, it's artsy and, it's subject to lots of different opinion. And thank you for being our friend through it and for being really gracious and sending us people our way.
You guys are, it's very, very interesting. If I were to step back and look at my years in this music business, it's gone from, in 1980, I was dealing with daily newspapers by telephone. Then eventually it was with email. And now there aren't any newspapers virtually. And I deal with either local radio or some websites and some podcasters. And you guys were my first podcasts.
Aww.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why I said yes, but I did.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't know, there was complete ignorance, especially because you were 3. I was like, oh, no.
That's weird.
All right. We'll let this Apple guy get in.
Thank you, Dennis.
But seriously, there was, okay. I mean, it was, you guys were complete unknowns through the whole process. I might add that it's not a prejudice, but just a fact, that I don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to ebooks, to audiobooks. Although I'm on my knees grateful because writers have something called mailbox money, right? If you're lucky enough to have a book that keeps earning royalties. Now, my Grateful Dead book got such a large advance, it'll never earn out. Forget that.
Okay.
Fortunately, the whole thing about audiobooks, so the Grateful Dead book came out in 2002. Audiobooks started happening around 10 maybe or 12, I don't know.
Yeah.
But later, and it wasn't in my contract. So so I signed a new contract, I don't know, a few years ago with the company that does the audiobook. And by God, I get, twice a year, I get a check with a couple of zeros anyway.
Yeah.
A few zeros. And that's what we call mailbox money. And the thing is, you don't think about it, unless you're really desperate. And fortunately, I'm not. You don't think about it. And then you get this note, oh, by the way.
Hell yeah.
And so thank you for the audio / podcasting world. To me, I just don't have time to sit and listen.
Yep.
When I exercise, I listen to music, and so anyway.
And when you meditate, you're not listening to anything. So.
And try not to listen to anything.
Right. All right, Dennis. Well, thank you for spending time with us today, man. And
my pleasure, as always.
I want to echo what Mel said. Thank you for your friendship and for your support. It means everything to us, man.
Well, you're entirely welcome, and it's quite mutual. There's a couple of other podcasters I work with, but none of them are as much fun. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
I might add, what's ultimately important, frankly, outside of our friendship, which was just inherently a good thing, but is the wow, they're great I get from my clients after you talk to them.
Hell yeah.
We love Little Village, to be honestly, Dennis. I just want to shout out Little Village. I really do. They are awesome. The people that you send us are always unique,
Eclectic and cool.
and something that we never would have experienced if you hadn't sent it. So thank you. Shout out to Little Village and all their
artists. Just like curiosity, did I send you Mariachi Mestizo?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Are
And
you
it's
guys gonna?
Yeah, we. I think it's too far
I
afield.
would assume it's a little.
it is,
yes.
but it was still
But it's good,
enjoyable.
but it's good
Yes.
music.
Yeah, super cool.
Yes.
Super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I must say I did not, I did not expect very many of my circle, including you, to go for it. I sent it out largely just to keep you hopping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
I don't know what's next. With I might just get you the Swamp. There's a band called All Things Swamp.
Okay.
Okay.
Band name.
That sounds
Which is a
fun.
bunch of middle-aged white guys who play New Orleans second line parade music
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
cool.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
in the Bay Area, and they're good. I mean, these are like pros. And the lead guy, the guy who organizes it, believe it or not, is the guy who created Gordon Biersch beer. So obviously he has money.
All right.
Okay.
At any rate, they're going to do a vinyl thing this summer, and I think I'm gonna.
Yeah. Send them our way.
Send them our
But
way.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
please.
think that would be interesting. Otherwise, I don't have anything from Little Village for until fall. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, cool.
Well, and please make sure you give Susanna our love.
Yes.
I will do
Let her
that.
know we're- send our best and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
The
Dennis.
last thing I wanted to ask, you mentioned about the blog. What was the name? Was the Caring something?
Caring Bridge.
Bridge. Thank you.
You got it,
Caring
Bill?
Bridge
Yep.
is a deal. What they particularly do is when a family is consumed with an illness, you can go on Caring Bridge and schedule days where you'll either DoorDash them a meal or personally bring them a meal. It serves families
Dealing with
death, and they started they had a GoFundMe because season couldn't work, and then somebody started Caring Bridge, and
That's amazing.
so I brought it up only because her blog, she writes update thank yous once every couple of weeks over the last couple of years. And as I say, I know I brag,
No.
I'll gladly brag.
Yeah.
The insight, the combination of good writing and good psychological insight and caring, she's and I take no credit.
Well, but you know what?
She was already 12 when I got there. It's not like I raised her. Her mother did. But,
There's always an influence, though, and
Yeah.
well,
but I'm
hopefully.
excited for that. Thank you for sharing that because that's
Check
up my
it
alley.
out.
Yep.
And I'd really love to hear, check it out and then drop me a note and tell me what you think
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
of it. And I'll share it with Season. A lot of our friends have gone, wow, that kid. I remember that kid. All right.
Cool,
You guys
man.
be good.
Have a great
Dennis.
rest of your
All right,
Saturday,
Dennis.
Dennis. We'll talk to you soon.
Dude, take care.
Aw.
I said this to Mel earlier, like I still am tripped out that we're just kicking it with Dennis McNally. Like, and we get stories from him.
I'm
you
not
know?
trying to be like, I feel like it was inevitable. I
Well,
really
yeah,
do.
I
You know what I
guess.
mean? From my perspective, I like I said, didn't grow up with that, the dead and how mystical and like important it was. So at the time when we met him, it felt like
You were just like, yeah, he's the
Yeah.
publicist for that thing. Of course.
exactly. It like, oh, okay. So I didn't have all those years of like, oh my God, this is this person.
Yeah, and
and it's been amazing.
Just through the nature of like doing the booking for the show, I've had crazy names show up on my phone from time to time. Like,
Mhm.
holy shit, O'Teal's name is on my phone. Like,
Yes.
crazy.
But I think that Dennis is one of the top ones that, like, when the phone rings and I see the name, I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, what the hell? And this book is
Really
something
amazing.
special, man. Like,
You know, I do encourage anybody under 35 to pick up this book and read it. And I don't mean like you can't, if you're over 35, I'm saying it is really important and good reading, especially if you are a listener of No Simple Road and you are into any kind of Fish, the Grateful Dead, alternative counterculture lifestyle. This is a really incredible book for you to, like, you know, kind of find a north, you know, a north to where the life out there.
and also, like, to give you perspective on how the culture that you're a part of, the counterculture that you're a part of, was shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by looking back, you can look forward.
Well, you can definitely, if you look back, it's been far enough now, 50 years, to where you're seeing things again. There's repeated things. There's
And what you say, 50 years, right? And like, I can remember high school. I was supposed to graduate in 89, right? That was only 20 years after the 60s. So for me, the 60s thing wasn't that far afield from my scope of influence.
Yeah, that makes
it
sense.
was still
relevant.
it was still relevant, and it hadn't been commodified yet. It was still counterculture.
Mhm.
It wasn't
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
And so,
Well, even when I was in school and I remember having to write a paper about Woodstock, and it was still kind of,
yeah,
you know, like clandestine.
It would be like somebody-
and different.
somebody now writing about Y2K.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the turn of the century into the 2000s and the tech startup.
Yeah.
Like, it's a trip to have been alive long enough to see something that has the impact of the counterculture of the 60s become a product to be sold. It's fucking weird.
It's weird, but you know what? It's life. It really is life. That's
Well,
whether
it doesn't
it's
have to be.
well, but not. It is. It is. Things that are important or that are cool or that are different. Once they leave the person who's responsible for them's creation, it's not. You can't put it in a box anymore.
Yeah.
Or people want to put it in a box with a bow on it. And
Well,
sell
yeah,
it online
exactly.
and make
Well, okay,
money
so
off of it.
exactly, it can be in a different way. It's like, okay, I made this incredible painting. I made this incredible drug. I made this incredible discovery. Now people want to do that drug, buy that painting, put it on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Like that's what people do.
Yep. Well, go buy the book, man.
Yeah,
it's at
buy the book.
DennisMcNally.com. You can get it on
The
Amazon.
Last Great Dream: How Bohemians Became Hippies and Created the '60s.
And there's links in the show notes. You can click on that and it'll take you right to it.
And it's fascinating because we've all read lots of books on things he touches on, but what he's done here is
Monumental.
a history lesson in all of this.
Yeah, and Mel said it earlier, or I think it was Apple, like each person that he references in the book could be its own book.
Yeah, well, he said at the beginning, at the top of it, each chapter, and then it broke down even for like each person within the chapters is.
I just want to read this last little thing. Dennis McNally is an author, historian, and music publicist. His books include On Highway 61, Music, Race, and the Evolution of the Cultural Freedom, A Long Strange Trip, The Inside History of the Grateful Dead, and The Desolate Angel, Jack Kerouac, The Beat Generation, and America. He lives in San Fran.
This
That was
cat
just like his little
knows
miniature bio.
what the hell he's talking about.
And he's an amazing storyteller.
Yep.
And he's a great friend of the show, so support him.
All right, everybody. Until next time, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger. Safety third. Hydrate. Go buy a book. Learn something. We love y'all. Peace.
Like twisting, turns and makes me turn and makes you journey. Wish the world has many problems, but it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred and shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.